HHDG. Peace, HHDG. We are on another episode of HHDG Media, the podcast. And before we get into our well-known guest tonight, shout out to our HHDG Media Inc. crew that makes it possible week in, week out. Rock Vader KB, the Mayor, T. Smith, Skelly Top, and myself, Wiki. Shout out to our Facebook group, HHDG, all the people that are tuning in tonight, as well as future shows. Shout out to y'all, because y'all help make it possible. Now, as you can see from the bottom, we have our website, hhdgmedia.com. For those in the cold weather like myself, we got hoodies out there for y'all to go purchase. Keep you warm. T-shirts as well, and as well as other merch. For tonight, we have one member that was on the show previously, and we've been blessed to have both of them on tonight. You know, these brothers have worked with plenty of artists out there that are known. They've come up and continue to show what longevity is after 25. They speak on empowerment, our people, through lyrics, longevity. I can go on about many things, and it's always ingrained in how you prolong in your life and continue to put success, not just in your hands, but in the hands of others. And part of that's through education. And they're giving us education through their music. We're going to talk also about family, which these two are brothers, and show how that cohesiveness is well on great display in their 2022 album that we'll be speaking on very soon. They made some countless dope joints on the underground circuit, all the way back to the Stretch and Bobbito days, WKCR days. Continue to work with many artists throughout the U.S. and international. And tonight, you're going to hear them speak on not only how this album is speaking on life as it is now, but how we can all can progress. And they're giving us jewels through this album if you haven't heard it yet. We can only be talking about Sciences of Life. We got JR.
Peace.
How you doing, man?
Good.
And ID4 wins.
Peace. Salute.
How y'all doing?
Coolin', bro.
Doing good.
Good. Great to have y'all on here.
Yo, great to be here.
Exactly. It's an honor.
Definitely. Now, before we get into the new album, let's just talk about, it's been 25 years since the Powers of 9 EP.
Yeah, man.
It's been some time, you know, through that road, you know, if it's, oh, there you go.
It's classic.
Yeah, I've been keeping it close by because, you know, we celebrating all year, so I've been playing.
That's right,
man. You know, yeah.
I definitely got my copy too from back then.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. You know, it's an amazing journey, and you know, not everyone has been able to adjust to not just the music industry, but their way of life with music.
Yeah,
very true.
And you two brothers put it on display in your music and show how maturity it can prosper with your success. I mean, you know, you got to give people a lot of respect for that because it's not easy.
Yeah, that's real. And it's, I guess it's in a time now, right, where to actually be speaking to the times is not normalized anymore. So you stand out more doing it now than when we started doing it. You know, I feel like
Exactly.
when we started doing it, pretty much all of our peers and everyone around us who we looked up to was pretty much on that enlightenment, empowerment wave for the most part. And because that approach has been really watered down and dumbed down so much and strayed away from, I feel like, to speak to the times right now, yeah, it stands out and it hits different, right? Because at one point, you know, we were speaking to the times and speaking to some past events and things that would happen, but speaking to current events as well, but not always current events that affect the whole world at the same time. So now when you're building and the world could feel it all at the same time, it just hits different. And that was very intentional. And I think for us too, it was testing the chemistry. We haven't recorded and done music in this way in a pretty long time. So it was just, yo, let's test the chemistry. Let's see what's good. We still can we still put something together and land well with the people, you know? So that's what this was too.
Exactly.
Dope. And the two of you, I enjoy seeing your IG posts of showing you your production.
Dope.
Appreciate
Dope.
it. Yeah, we work pretty hard, you know, very consistently, you know, just to make sure that the material is original and, you know, it represents Science of Life's elevation. So, you know,
Yeah.
stay on it, definitely on it.
Definitely. Now, before the two of you brought this album together, recently, JR, you just had an album produced by Blue coming out of Cali.
Yep. King JR. Salute to Blue, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dope project, dope.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, even through the years, there's been so many recordings that I released, and even if Four Winds wasn't on it vocally, he had beats on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, perfect example would be the Level Up. You know what I'm saying? Like, he produced about 3 or 4 joints on there. But even through the years, there's been so many times that we've worked together, and it wasn't so blatant as when we worked together as Science of Life, but I feel that we're in this space of, like I said, speaking to the times and creating, but not necessarily making music for industry, making music more so for us and for people.
That's
you
right.
know?
Right.
I feel like right now the people are the industry. The people have the power. And if you could connect with people and engage the people, that's what time it is right now. That's what we're about. Direct to consumer, engaging people, nurturing relationships and connections, and being intentional each step of the way, you know?
Indeed.
Yeah. And with that being said, you know, it's very powerful for people to, you know, really take that for grain for what you're saying, because you see, I can give you a personal thing. You know, I ride the trains in the city, and I've seen the increase of the homelessness in the city.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and you know, the trains and the platforms have become people's homes. You know,
That's right.
and this has increased significantly during the pandemic.
Of course.
And you know, one thing that, you know, as a black man, you know, people don't talk enough about mental health. You know, if that's not right, everything else can come crumbling down.
Of course.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very true.
That's what I thought you were going to say, man, because that's something that riding New York City subway system, I witnessed a lot of mental health issues, you know, underground, people going through it. And, you know, sometimes it being pretty dangerous when people get violent or, you know, kind of lose control a bit because they're going through something or having, you know, an episode. But you're right, there's a lot of mental health issues, but more so there's a stigma against getting help, right?
Yeah.
because it's hard to trust the help a lot of times. It's hard for people to see past just all the stigma that's been given in the spaces of therapy and anything like that, right? So I think that's a part of it too, where it needs to be normalized and it needs to be shown in a real perspective of what that looks like now. And there'll
Right.
be examples of it. And yeah, I think it's very real though, because there's so many scenarios we could think of, and of course so many unknown that suffer in silence. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, real talk.
And with what's going on, one of your projects actually kind of always came to mind for some reason, and then I had to go back and listen to it, and that's what's the science?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Word.
And it's man, it's because it's a time where, like I said before, everyone's exposed to it in some capacity, and if you're really real with yourself and do a self-reflection in today's time, especially if you have just a general level of awareness, you see that, yo, man, I gotta change my views, pun intended, right? I gotta start thinking differently. I gotta open myself up to empowerment. I gotta learn more. I gotta go under the study and be a student of life for real. I can't just pass on by and glide and think that I got time. And the reality is, especially when you're looking at it from the standpoint of, I want to share perspective with myself and others to inspire people to stay aware, stay on it, empower yourself, change the dynamic. Let's control our narratives. Let's become who we really are, which is each other's power, unified, collectively. Let's do things collective. Let's start thinking collective minded and putting these ideas together, but more so, let's be safe. Let's be aware. Let's learn how to protect ourselves and family. Let's learn how to eat right, Let's learn how to take care of ourselves better, and all of these different things. I feel like that's what Change Your Views is about. It's like, if you're not already here, now's definitely the time to change your views, and it's more about being open enough to receive what's yours.
That's right.
Definitely. And I don't want to jump directly into the album yet, but the book Powernomics.
Yes.
You spoke on it, and with the way things are going, you spoke on a very key thing that I would say it's an age-old tradition to put your money in the banks, save your money there,
of course,
and everything will be okay.
Exactly.
When meanwhile, the rest of the world who's in tune and privy are moving their money around and putting it here and doing that, and their money's literally working for them. And all we're privy to is work hard and make money. Work for the money your whole life. Spend your whole life working for the money, but never learning how the money works for you. And the reality is too, that we're in an age and a time right now where we have access to that information more than ever, and delivered from people who look like us. That's the beauty of it. We have culturally responsive financial literacy at our fingertips. Where it's like brothers and sisters breaking it down who look just like us. You want to know crypto, real estate, stocks, what else? Whatever you want to know, it's there. And I think that's another thing. It's like, yo, man, don't let fear keep you on the sideline and miss out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, don't let fear. And this is another jewel that a lot of my financial mentors say: FOMO's not a strategy. You know what I'm saying? Just don't jump on something just because you think you're missing out. Do your own research. Learn about it.
Facts.
Yeah. Build your investor mindset so that you walk into these things with confidence, because you already did the technical and the fundamental analysis, and you can break it down and say, you know what? Yeah, this is good. I see the use cases. I see the utility. These are things that ID and I build on all the time, because That's what time it is. It's like, it's more than even just research. And it's like, who are you conversing and speaking this information to, right? Because we always say when you speak it, you kind of learn twice.
That's
Right.
true.
Yeah. So that's just a big part of just our daily practices of just, yo, what's going on for the day? What shifts are happening in the market? What things are going on in the world that could potentially be a good opportunity, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the thinking these days too.
Exactly.
And the beauty with technology is we have so many avenues to get that information from.
That's right.
That wasn't always the case, growing up. One of the main things that we had was the library, or if your family invested in encyclopedias.
Yeah, man.
That's right.
Now look how fast history changes. Changes daily.
Daily. And think about it now. Those encyclopedias wouldn't hold the weight. It's too, you would have to have a new edition every week.
Exactly.
Britannica, they'd be like, bro, we ain't got enough paper to catch up. But it's interesting how that happens, right? And then even in the education spaces, I always share with educators, yes, it's good for our young people to have foundational skills, but let's be real. Why would we send them to an atlas and Encyclopedia Britannica when a lot of those answers and more are at their fingertips? And why is it not better to teach them how to be like pro searchers online and find the sound information and fish through all the nonsense and get to the real sources? Because that's just more of their world. And I believe in the fundamentals, but I also feel like 21st century skills are a must. You got to be in tune. You got to be in the wave.
That's right.
Definitely. Now, ID4 wins. I see you show your firearms and going to the gun range. This is another aspect that not too many people might not know of, and they should learn about it, and that's gunsmithing. You actually not only just creating, was it AR-15s, and the bullets as well.
Exactly. Press my own rounds. I've learned a lot. As these past 9-10 years. So I've got to the point where not only am I shooting, carrying a gun for protection and teaching it, building AR-15s, creating my own ammunition, learning about ammunition. It's just it's a bunch of things to learn about. And once you learn it, it opens your mind to a whole new world. It's not just this gun-toting idea. It's more of an educating, thing where once you get into it, it's really a big empowerment for you and your family. But then the fact that I can teach this to our people through music and in person, it's amazing. And I'm truly blessed to have had this, brought to me so I can share it amongst the people.
So
yeah,
that's a whole new education that
that's
the
right.
world, our people don't know. And why not if we have a big gun violence issue, but actually understand it from the ground up is a completely different aspect that is not being brought to the attention.
Exactly.
And, I respect you on the whole process of that you go through, and at the same time doing it the legit way. You got a license for it, you got a license to carry, and you're out there actually learning it the proper way.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Which most of us don't do that,
Yeah, I was just gonna say too, I feel that if our community just learned, like you said, from a foundational level, I doubt we would see as much violence as we see. with firearms in our community. I think just the lens and the perspective, not to say it would just be gone and that's the answer, but I feel like when you learn, because I'm learning right now under the study as it relates to the law, the safety, the know-how, the technique, how to hold it, all the little nuances and techniques. I feel like if you go through that type of informative, journey, it changes your mind about the weapon.
Yeah.
It actually
That's right.
turns it into, no,
Hmm.
this is a tool.
That's
This
right.
is not this deadly force that just goes off by itself. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then the reality too is, right, we have all this violence. I guess the thing that always kind of makes me just frustrated about how gun laws are spoken about, right? It's made to seem that if you change the law and do a couple things politically, it's going to stop the gun violence. And the reality is, the gun violence is perpetuated in scenarios where these are not law abiding people. They don't care about
Right.
laws.
Hmm.
Laws are not
Exactly.
going to stop that,
Yep.
That's right.
And the reality is, it's more mindset than law for us in our community. I think it's more about changing mindsets, understanding, like you said, from a foundational level, really understanding what this is, how it works,
That's right.
and then really Black and brown families normalizing owning firearms
Right.
and
That's right.
really teaching their family how to be safe, and protective with these firearms. And I think that right there alone just reduces a lot of what we're seeing, you know?
I agree.
Definitely. Definitely. And ID Four Winds, what was the initial spark that got you to that point? Was it just I got a family to protect, and I need to do this the right way. Not
Yeah.
just have one on me, but I got to do
Hmm.
it the right way and
Exactly.
understand what encompasses me owning a firearm, me using a firearm.
Exactly. Well, I would say pretty much about a decade ago, um, we had a scenario in Jersey where, it was a big storm. We lost power. No phone, no
That was
nothing.
Sandy, Hurricane Sandy,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So I had a neighbor across the street who was heavily into firearms,
Mhm.
and he came to check on us. It's like, yo, y'all good? I'm like, yeah, we straight. He's like, no, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I stepped outside with him. He's like, man, are you straight? Like, if someone was to come run in your house, and I'm thinking, like, what do you mean?
Mm.
He's like, somebody run in your house, you good? You see, you got your wife, your kids. I'm like, hmm, I don't think I'm good on that level. So after speaking with him, he gave me some information about getting a license. And in New Jersey, it's really hard to go get a license. So a bunch of loops you got to go through. But I went through all of the steps and obtained the license. And at that point, I started going to the range just to get familiar with the firearms. And after learning how to shoot, I
Hmm.
started learning about the laws and how to use the weapon to protect yourself, because you can't just shoot. You can't just shoot people. You need to understand that this is the last resort.
Right.
There's a lot of de-escalating and things that you need to do to bring down the energy before you even reach for a weapon. So I can honestly say, I had a little bit of a temper growing up, and soon as I got my firearm, it literally changed my person, because you're not quick to pull the weapon, because we know like what's going to happen. Someone's going to lose a life. Police are showing up. There's paperwork. You're going to be
Yeah.
cuffed. You're going to be disarmed. There's court fees. There's lawyers. There's a bunch of stuff that go on. So
It's a lot more to it. Yeah.
you're not really trying to shoot things for no reason. You want to make sure it's the proper reason. It's everything lines up. So I learned a bunch of stuff, and I've been training with ex-military, law enforcement. I have a bunch of friends that helped me get this education, and I definitely passed it on to John Robinson and the family. And because of that one day where my buddy came and checked on me, asked if I was okay, and I didn't realize I wasn't okay. Now I'm on it, and I'm here to let everyone else know, like, you need that, and you need the education.
Yeah.
It's that important. It kind of goes hand in hand with a driver's license and your keys and your wallet. You need it. Just like that. We're in America, which this country was taken by force of the weapon.
Yeah,
So,
man.
That's right.
Yeah, and for me, it's been a dope journey, and I'm really big on safety. I'm really big on
yes.
information. I'm not about like assuming things in the space. I want to know, how's it
No.
work? What's the
That's right.
best ways to be safe? And I guess the most dynamic yet simplest thing I've learned is, there's about 4 to 5 safety precautions that if you always just follow these and lead with this, you'll be straight damn near every time. It's almost impossible
That's right.
to, have these crazy misfires or accidents and things if you follow like these 4 or 5 protocols. And I think things like, don't point your weapon at nothing you don't want to destroy. I don't care if you think it's unloaded or not. Don't
That's
ever
right.
point it at any person or anybody that you think, or you don't want to literally shoot. That's
That's
a,
right.
that's a foundational safety rule.
That's right.
Things like, if you're dealing with your firearm, take the clip out, check the barrel, make sure it is empty, double check. You know what I'm saying? Do the 4-point check, but
Consider
make
all
sure
guns loaded.
loaded.
Even
Loaded.
when it's
Exactly.
not,
Mm-hmm.
consider it loaded anyway.
Consider it loaded. And there goes the not
Finger
pointing
off
it,
the
right?
trigger unless you're ready
Exactly.
to shoot
And you know
at
what?
all
That's
times.
something that I feel like most people wouldn't assume. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Most
right.
people would assume like, oh yeah, you're just holding it like this, right? But as long as you don't
It's not
press it, you
supposed to.
good. And the
No.
reality is no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's when it's little details like that you could tell the people who actually have the information from the amateurs who's just running around with the weapons. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And it's
right.
like there's a huge difference. And I'm just blessed to be learning in this way. But I guess even more so, I like ID. I want to see more people feel comfortable. I want us to stop, you know, prematurely criminalizing ourselves just because the stigma that exists in pop culture in the world as it relates to our people and firearms and weapons. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of one of those things where what better time than right now? You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
the thing that Four Winds would always say to me is, you'd rather have it if you need it than not have it and really need it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's the reality. Like, if you're talking about protecting your home and your family, I mean, that is a tool that could help de-escalate something and potentially save you from a very bad situation. And the times we're in, brother, you were just talking about the homelessness in New York City and how much it's growing. There's other places that are getting hit just that same way. We
Right.
know
Mm-hmm.
that people have lost employment, people have lost their homes, and people have lost their sanity, right? So
Yeah.
guess what? There's no telling how things unfold and what happens. And not to say live in fear. It's more about, I'm being protective, I'm being proactive, and more than anything else, I'm protecting my home and family. You know what I'm saying? If that's a bad thing to do, then I guess we're doing bad things, right?
Yeah. No, not only just know the environment you're in, but know your home.
That's right.
Absolutely. In that
One other
mindset,
thing,
right?
let me
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
up one thing that most people, I don't think we recognize this, and it has to do with our people. If you ever pay attention to the movies that we see, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, all of the movies where a melanated person picks up a gun, pay attention and you'll realize they will hold the gun to the side.
Side. Mm.
that just shows that you're not educated. How are you gonna fire the weapon from the side when you need the sights to line up so you know what your target is? Who hits a target from the side?
Yeah.
You know, and I just saw a movie the other day. I'm just like, are we still putting out movies where we look uneducated? It's crazy. And then within the same movie, there will be someone else holding it the right way. And I wonder if they're doing that on purpose. That's I came to that conclusion where I'm like, I think they're doing that on purpose.
That's crazy.
That's a
So
good point.
when we do pick up the gun, we're gonna do this, and in actuality, it needs to be straight ahead so we can line up the sights and actually hit the target. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. I was just sitting there thinking about that one day. Like, this is crazy. I can't find a movie where we're holding the weapon the right way.
That's real.
And
Unless it's a police officer in the
police,
movie or
yeah,
something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And as always, media is the first place that they're going to see us. So if they see us in a negative light, they're going to assume all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I must say, I'm enjoying that right now, especially more than ever. Yo, there's brothers, OGs, young sisters, older sisters in the space sharing information, and really thought leaders in the space who got gems. I mean, I follow as many as I can on YouTube, social media, just
Yeah.
to take in these gems, because it's just dope to see so many perspectives. And it's like, just as much as I enjoy the men sharing the gems, I enjoy like what the women got to share too, because they're sometimes even more detail oriented about it. You know what I'm saying? And just their whole approach. But it's just great to see our people in these spaces sharing good, solid, real information. You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? So it's
And we're
like,
not the only ones either, as far as people that do music, sort of say, that's into the firearms. You got Lord Jamal, if you're paying attention to what he's doing. We got Twister.
oh yeah, yeah,
We got Professor Griff. You
no
know,
doubt.
Yeah,
these are
that's
brothers
right.
that I definitely look up to. That if you pay attention, especially on social media, they're going to tap into that. You'll see videos where they're training and teaching. So,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm man, I'm overwhelmed when I see that.
yeah. No,
Good, good.
it's a next level time, man. And
That's right.
again, it's time for information. Empower yourself. Get it in. And be
Yeah,
patient with yourself, right? It's a lot. So,
That's right.
there's only a certain amount of hours in a day. I guess my best advice for people who are just on this information kick and journey and want to empower themselves and invest in themselves in that way, like, yo, find who are the people sharing that you really resonate with and it feels well, and just create a lifestyle, right? Or create a method of operation around it. Speaking to
absolutely.
the Powernomics, right? The daily methods of operation. Like, kind of start to think about, yo, during this time in the day, I just empower myself and I watch videos about this, that, and the third. And you spend that time. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 30 minutes, whatever. But I think we're in a time now where if you start to diversify your information intake, yo, you'll become a beast quick. You'll have a
That's
lot
right.
of insight and perspective, and you'll be in conversations they can't mention a thing that you can't speak more than the answer on. And that's just where we are. That's where we are.
Information expands your mind. You don't
That's right.
gotta you don't have to try and get everything all at once. Just take one thing at a time and work with those people, like you were just saying, those
Hmm.
knowledgeable
That's right.
people.
That's right.
Yeah, find your tribe, right?
Absolutely. And with that, I'm gonna mention something: owning your wealth by investing in oneself.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
This is exactly what the two of you have been doing.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I
Yes,
love it.
that's a
I
nice
love it.
way to put it.
And everyone doesn't see it that way, right? Like, I've spoken with peers and strangers who feel like, yes, I want to I want to own my art, but if in my lifetime I could kind of like leverage it and sell pieces off to, level up, I'm kind of more about that. And I feel like sometimes people forget that it's not only about right now and what we're doing, because we've seen it play over and over where these brilliant creatives of all sorts pass on, transition, and their biz is not together. So the family doesn't get to actually flow the legacy well. There's no estate set up. There's no one to land all of this know-how to keep it going.
That's
And I
right.
think as creatives, it's our duty to make sure that we have family and people in our lives that we know and trust that know what to do. You know
It's
what I'm
true.
saying? They know. They have the intel as it relates to publishing and the catalog and how to get to it. If blah 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 wanted to do this, I know how to, and that's where we are now too. There's a lot of our younger family members who are now getting into the music just organically, just from being
That's
around
right.
it. And yeah, they'll be the first to really be more in tune with, this is what we got going on, this is what we've built so far. Yes, when we're not here anymore, you'll own it, and then all that you've built will connect with this.
Something like that. Yeah.
And these are
That's right.
these are some potential ways you could reimagine these things, but that'll be your job at that stage and point. We can't control that. It's just about sharing enough with you to make sure that the legacy lands well and it stays alive and well. Yeah.
So, and with that word legacy comes generational wealth. And
That's right.
you just spoke on it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, it's important for us to, it's hard, right? But we have to think in a selfless way. We've seen leaders of our time in real time lay their lives down for causes and things that they wanted to see unfold, that they knew while they were here they wouldn't even see it. But it didn't matter. It didn't make them stop. It didn't say, oh man, I'm gonna do all this work and I ain't gonna get to see it. I'm gonna chill. Nah, it made them push even harder. And I feel like when you've seen examples like that, it allows you to just look at this in a different way. And I'll just say this, I feel like where we are right now, in my opinion, a very tangible pathway to melanated people's generational wealth, in my opinion, has a lot to do with tech and technology spaces. And the reason I say that is we don't currently own a bunch of things. We don't own a bunch of buildings and land and just
Right.
have all this infrastructure across America, right? But the reality is, in a lot of ways, we're tech geniuses, but we've just been operating in those spaces in a passive user way, just using the technology. And I feel like if the energy shifted more towards development and bringing our lens, because we're the user testers of all these apps that go on and get these
That's
huge
true.
billion-dollar evaluations, and we brought the sauce and everything to the space and not even realize we could do the same thing to our own selves and our
That's right.
own spaces and build in the same way. And put money together and pay the intelligent expert developers who know how to put these ideas into this technical form. And I feel like that those are the spaces that are going to help us level up. We're
Yeah.
watching Nas and his tech investments and what it's done for his career. We're
Mm-hmm.
seeing Jay-Z and his tech advancements and what it's done for his career, and so on and so on, Snoop, etc. And it's like we really need to catch on to the wave. And that's something we push too. We felt like 25 plus years ago, when 9 Ether came out, it was the .com era, right? And because we weren't privy and aware, we were just passively on America Online and in the chat rooms and having fun and thought that
That's
was
right.
the,
Right.
heights of it. But had we known that, we could have threw a couple dollars together and invested in some things then and changed our lives. We had no clue. So now fast forward to today, that same thing is happening, but bigger and in a different way, why should we stand on the sidelines and not tap in? You know?
Absolutely.
So I say all that to say, my peoples, when you hear NFTs, when you hear metaverse, when you hear decentralized apps, when you hear decentralized finance, cryptocurrency, and all these different things, I don't care how many spam bots hit you with it. It's real and it's happening. Tap in, learn about these things, know how they work. Because
That's
guess
right.
what? Even if you don't, I promise you, there was a point in time where there was so many people I knew who said, I don't need a cell phone, bro. I got a phone in my crib. I'll never get a cell. I don't need to walk around with a phone. Guess what? Now 10-year-olds have phones regularly, right? Just as we're saying that, all these things that I mentioned are going to be normalized. So you
That's
can
right.
either get on the wave and be ahead of the wave and be surfing into the shore, or you could fall and be kind of trying to stay afloat. It's up to you, but that's where we are, man. We're information handlers. We like to
That's
stay in
right.
tune and really tap into what's going on. So yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely. And speaking on tapping in, shout out to Elo Kush checking in.
peace,
Peace,
peace.
peace to the God. Peace to the God.
Definitely.
Yep.
Peace to Elo. Yes.
And for those that have been listening, we actually have been talking about the album.
That's right.
Exactly.
Pretty
Without even
much.
saying it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Definitely,
Yeah, man.
definitely. So let's get into it. Change your views.
Let's do it.
I mean, y'all both share production on it,
Mm-hmm.
dropping jewels like you said. You educating us, and at the same time, you sparking people's minds that might have already had a little bit of knowledge of what you're speaking of.
No doubt, no doubt. And like I said earlier, man, really off record before we start talking, a lot of this project was us literally sticking our toe in the water again and saying, yo, is it warm? Is it warm? Does it feel right? Okay, dope. And I must say, yo, shout out to especially all the DJs and media outlets, etc., that have been super supportive thus far, and just been getting a lot of solid feedback on the work. And real talk. I mean, I can't speak for Four Winds, but I feel like shit, we just scratching the surface again. You know what I'm saying? I feel
Yeah.
like that was just
Yeah.
like a quick exercise, and it's like, yeah, now let's really get into it. And not to discredit that work, because I also realize that when you've been doing something for a very long time and you pour in, it doesn't take as long as it used to anymore. You know what I'm saying?
That's
It
right.
doesn't take as much as it used to, because again, we're reverse engineering these concepts, right? It's more about, oh, we know what's going on in the firearm space and how people feel in our communities about it. Let's write
Mm-hmm.
something about that. And then we reverse engineer and put lyrics to that concept.
That's
It's
right.
not necessarily the other way around now. It's more about, yo, let's fit form our rhymes and beats, etc., and the sonics to these concepts that are on our chests. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
What do we want to say about this? What do we want to say? And it's exciting because I also feel like we hinted at things. In my opinion, yeah, we could turn it up way more and get even more sophisticated and clear about what we're thinking and how we're feeling. And that's what I look forward to too, man. But I want you to speak on just like the approach of the beats and some of the creative process, etc.
Well, as far as the creative process, I would say many may look at this project and think that me and JR was in the same place, sitting right next to each other. But that wasn't the case. I was in
Yeah,
my home, in my studio. Sai was in his studio. And we literally were cooking beats, cooking up ideas, and just emailing each other. Yo, what you think about this? Oh,
yeah,
that sound like okay, add a verse. Let me hear it. Okay. Okay, nah, let's take that out. Okay, what you think about this beat? Oh, nah, not that one, the other beat you made. So
yeah,
from that, you know, birthed this project. And we took a lot of stuff off. We didn't want to like oversaturate it. I want to say we kind of got right to the point And like Sai was saying, we just was trying to open the door slightly crack so people could see that we're back, but we didn't want to hit them with everything. But we got a lot
Okay.
more stuff coming. And like I said, we took some stuff off. It was
Yeah.
just like, okay, let's just tease them with this and see how they respond to it. And we've been getting some good feedback. And some people saying this is some of your best work. And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
appreciate it. I
Yeah.
feel that you didn't see anything yet if you think this is our best work, you
Yeah.
know?
And I'll
So
share this ID too, because there's a reason that, we weren't in the studio together. You know what I'm saying? And because we started out, if you remember, we started out working together and in the lab together. And then we switched that whole vibe. And the real reason is because we got so good at recording ourselves by ourselves in our separate studio. It sounds better that way, like real talk.
yeah,
And I
I
kind
agree.
of blame it on just home studio period, but I feel like these last couple years, because everyone was at home and vibed out in that way,
Yes.
it just seasoned that home space creation so much more. It was like, I like that we're together, but this don't sound better than when we're not. So it's like, you
Yeah.
know what, why try to fix it if we could be in our home studio separate and still have this cohesiveness? And we're still
Yeah.
talking through the music. And that's another thing too. I feel like we got better at that. Science of
Mm-hmm.
Life, rest in power at Willoughby. One of our formulas
Absolutely.
creatively, we didn't talk about the music. Like all these years, we would be in the studio together, and literally we would either vibe off of the title, a little small conversation about a concept, or y'all know what to do and just go in our corners and create. And it was like just, to me, so magical how we all would just complement each other in this different way, and it just came together. And sometimes it would bug us out because we're like, damn, we didn't even talk about it, we didn't even
That's
like
right.
discuss it. And
That's right.
it became kind of a bad habit where we didn't like to talk about the music in the studio. It was like, nah, don't talk about it, just go. But
Yeah.
now I feel like as we kind of grew in our process, it switched back to, yo, let's build about exactly what we want to bring, and just let this conversation be what we take into the creation, and
Exactly.
paint to that.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Now you said before, rest in peace, Inspector Willoughby.
Yes, man.
I know. Recently, I think he changed his name to I Love.
Yes, I love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's been I love for a while. I love. Willoughby has a
He had about
thousand.
Thousands,
Yo, he
right?
has a
exactly.
thousand. AKA Inspector Willoughby, AKA Fu Manchu.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, furthest, what was it? Furthest something man can humanly understand. Or something. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, farthest universe man can humanly understand. He was the intelligent, legible mental pencil. I mean, it
Yeah.
was so many
Oh
names.
man,
Savage Messiah.
Savage Messiah, King
that's right.
Izzy.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying all these names. I know he's probably like, yeah, tell him, son, say more, yo. I love Rasun, Ras Sadiq. Like, I
That's
mean, yo,
right.
this dude had a million
Rocky.
names. Yes, a million names. He was a chameleon though, because he just,
Yeah.
whatever scenario and situation he's in, he could just blend in and
It
be the
just
part.
yeah.
Yeah, and just. But I'll say this, man. One of the brilliant things I was reminded of recently, because she passed away, it's an author named Anne Rice, right? Anne
I'm
Rice
familiar.
is,
Yep.
yeah, she's like a fictional, maybe horror type author,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And Willoughby used to sample words from her book, and just like literally just walk around with these Anne Rice books. He would read the books, but a lot of times it was to get words, so it was like, yo, stalactites. Oh, let me write that down. That's dope. And then, just kind of how can I fit this other word into,
Mm-hmm.
and he would just collect words from these interesting writers who
Wow.
just wrote profoundly. And I ain't gonna front, that kind of inspired me in some of my technique. I'm a word snob now. Like I look for words, like for real, where it's like, yo, I just need the right words to say that people aren't saying. And
That's
rest in
right.
power to Doom too. I never forget
That's
when
right.
Doom told us
Absolutely.
we had a song called Eating Watermelon on the Black Exploitations album. And Doom was like, so yeah, so on the whole album, y'all should never say watermelon again. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, there's certain words that just pop out. You can't say that shit like mad times on your album, bro. You gotta
Mhm.
like, I was like, really? Is that how you? He was like, yeah, bro. It's about the words. You can't keep using the same word. You gotta like have a bunch of different words and just inspire people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I
Yeah.
think about his music, that was one of his brilliant approaches where when you think
Yeah.
about a doom verse, there's always these interesting words that it's like, who says that? Who would ever
Yeah.
try to rap those words? He would.
That's
Yes,
right.
he would.
Remember we were writing the sorcerer song?
Oh yeah.
We would literally be writing and he would check to see if we used a
Oh yeah.
word that he's about to write down.
That's,
And if we used it,
mhm.
he's like, oh, I can't use that word. I'm like, what? I
Yeah.
didn't
Mm.
get that. But I was like, yo, that's very, like, I mean, I guess it's very creative, but it was very interesting to know that this guy did not want to use a word that me or JR or Willoughby were using already.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, hold on, you use that word? Nah, let me take that word out and use this word.
Mm.
Yeah,
No doubt.
bro.
Word up. Peace to David Films. Word up. Salute.
Yes. Salute.
I
It's
see
our
him in the chat.
cameraman, man.
All
Video
right.
man, family.
Yeah.
Dope,
Yeah.
dope. Hmm. Sorry about that. Oh, no, I was going to speak on, with doing with the words, and it kind of reminds me of when I'm reading a book. When I catch a word that I'm not too familiar with, I usually highlight it and then put it in
Mm-hmm.
my phone to go check it later on. Because
That's right.
while you're reading it, when you're reading it, and you see that word, you understand it based on the sentence, but you want to know
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more about that word because
Mm-hmm.
I've
I
never
do the
seen this
same
before.
thing, bro. It's funny you say that. I
Yeah.
highlight it,
Mm,
write it down, go on my phone, and I get back to all those words that I didn't really take in when I'm reading. It's
mm-hmm.
a
Yeah.
nice skill, bro. Gets the
Yeah.
vocab up.
Yep.
Definitely. I tell writers, MCs, right? Don't sleep on how much reading is connected to your pen.
Oh
Like
yeah.
for real. Like a lot of
Mm,
MCs don't realize. And even I don't care if you reading an audio book, it still counts. You taking in those words and perspective and concepts consistently, yeah, it definitely elevates the pen. It
That's
allows you
right.
to just have all these different pathways to express what you're trying to say or articulate what you want to say in all these different ways. Because I feel like the biggest phenomenal thing about rap, especially like golden era hip hop, yo, a lot of us were saying the same exact thing in all these different brilliant creative ways, but it was
That's
all
right.
linked. It was all linked and connected. And it's like, yo,
That's
we
right.
figured out just, oh yeah, you said it that way. I'm gonna update the formula and say this, but it still means that. If we're
That's
talking
right.
about the industry, we're talking about rappers biting, we're talking about, shoot, the sign of the times. It was all done, but it's like, yo, how are you gonna flip it? How are you gonna renew it and put a new, fresh feel and touch to it? And I feel like
That's right.
that's the phenomenon about MCing. There's nothing new under the sun. We're not creating or reshaping anything that hasn't happened, but we figured out a way. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah, I keep a book out.
definitely.
I must say, while I'm writing, I keep a book out that I could refer
Mm,
to, especially if I got a topic and this book is touching the topic. I'm running through chapters, might read. 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 pages, put it down, and then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. I keep books. I mean, I wonder how many people got a book within arm's reach. I keep a book by me at all times. No matter where I go, I throw a book in my bag.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know?
Same way. Yep.
You know, it's funny. Speaking of books, my reading habit and technique has changed to more recently. I don't read the book to read the whole book. I read passages from multiple books that inspire me in the moment. So it could go from Powernomics to the Wise Intelligent book to, shoot, a book about something that's not so heavy or whatever, just, some fictional whatever. But then it'll go right back to like education book like Chris Emden's Ratchetemic. But it's all
That's right.
taken in perspective, but it's listening to myself and saying, yo, I'm inspired to kind of tap into this right now. Let's open this up and see what's there. And being more intentional with that, just because I don't know, it just it feels better for me. I used to be the guy who just, yeah, I'm gonna take my time and read through this book, but focus on this one book. And now it's kind of similar to my creative process. I like to do multiple things, pouring little by little into each thing. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a book on black scientists and inventors.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's not an expansive type of book. It's maybe like less than 100 pages, but it's one of those books that I've going back to every once in a while. Like something happens in my life and I it comes to mind, so I go back and I start reading it again.
What's it called?
What's
I believe it's Black Scientists and Inventors.
Okay.
I'll go look it up and I'll send y'all a link.
okay,
Dope.
cool.
Dope. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Now, since we also speaking on lyrics, I gotta bring up the maxi sessions that you did. I do 4 ones with John Doe of Southern Vanguard Radio.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Shout out to John Doe. Yeah, man, that project was it was interesting. I remember him just playing beats, and then I said, "Oh, you did that beat?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Send me a couple tracks." So he sent me a few tracks. I wrote to him. He was like, "Yo, let's do something." I'm like, "All right, let's go." I wound up sending him some references, and I think it was might have been like 2 joints at the time. Then he was like, "Yo, I got a couple more. Let's sort of make it like a sort of like an EP type thing." So we wound up banging out a few joints. I hit Kush. I made sure Kush hopped on it. And at the time, I think JR was so tied up I couldn't get him on it. But you know, that was definitely like a nice quick project. And we did something on his podcast just to speak on it. And it was what it was. Eddie Meeks was on the project as well. Then we had
Yeah.
a couple remixes by what's his name? Forgot the
Raz Beast
producer.
was on there.
Ras Beats. That's right. Shout out to that brother.
Yep.
He threw some beats on there too. So yeah, it was just a nice adventure. I didn't really um plan to do this. It was just, one of those things where you just
Okay.
listening to beats, you like, yo, send me something, and boom. So
No doubt.
but you see, that I starting to implement slightly my firearms thing in
Yeah.
there. Like,
Hmm.
like I was trying to slide it in. Like I don't want to, I wasn't a thug about it, but I'm trying to slide it in there somehow. And
Mhm.
I feel like it's an important part of my approach now to constantly leave it in there because we need this education. And if I could just show you by my artwork, just constantly putting it in my music,
Yeah.
that we need this, especially now. You need this. There's so many levels of why you need this too, you know. But yeah, that was a dope project, man. And yeah, man. something in the archives that we could go check back and listen to.
Definitely. And what it also reminded me of was, growing up, when I was buying cassettes, I used to always buy the maxi singles because the maxi singles had the acapellas, the instrumentals, and the LP sides on them.
Yeah,
That's
man.
right. That's right.
Nah, the maxi
I wonder
singles,
what happened to that.
Shoot, they need to come back. I mean, we could bring it back. I would
Yeah,
say
definitely.
they do come back. I feel like there's been people who've been kind of like teasing with the idea of course, adding this added value, like you said, the acapellas or some sort of like, remix that's only in this format.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's something that I've always enjoyed too, especially in that cassette and vinyl era, because there was always that specialty song that you can only get in that one format.
That's right.
Yo, if you don't got the tape, you ain't got that
That's
song.
right. Tribe used to do that. Tribe Called Quest definitely used to do that.
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
And it was always dope, right? They had like specialty artwork too. Like it was like a maxi single. It just it was like you're not seeing these photos or this thing anywhere else. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, I have to bring that back, man.
Definitely
bring that back.
And JR, you've been successful with releasing your projects on cassette, so
cassette's been great, man. It's been great.
That's
to
classic.
be real, what we're exploring right now, right? It's Science 25. Like how to package this year, a celebratory release for 25 years, releasing music. And of course, it'll be something that includes like hand curated selection from the catalog. But I'm sitting back to, really think and build with Four Winds on what other added value, do we put into this? Do we add some technology aspects to it and step into that realm, etc.? So
definitely add that to it.
Yeah, we've been building a lot on what are the other things we can do to celebrate the 25 years? One of the things we got going on right now is new merch. So we got new merch, two different crew necks that basically, they're pointed out to celebrate the 25th anniversary. This logo, actually, shout out to my man Peds, aka Sen1 of VizCaf, Visual Caffeine. This is someone that we've known since back then, and it's the same logo that's shown on the 12, the first 12. So it's representing officially the 25 years. And again, we want to celebrate our milestones, right? So expect to hear us talking about that all the time. You know what I'm saying? We got the gear, we got the official patches on the gear. So, man, it's definitely a blessing to still be motivated and inspired enough to keep it going, keep doing this, keep the vibes fresh.
That's right.
And more than ever, like we said earlier, man, we feel like there's a lot more to share. Word up.
That's right.
There's a lot more to share. There's a lot more vibes on the way.
Dope. And for those that are tuning in right now, I put up the links for you to go check out that merch on John Robinson's Bandcamp for the Science of Life 25th anniversary.
Dope.
Word.
Yes.
Definitely. Now, as far as the album, I gotta let you know my favorite tracks.
Yes.
No Captions. That one right there.
Nice.
Word.
That one really speaks to everything right now as far as how things are, how flexible and diverse you can be, and just continue to elevate.
And that's why we call it No Captions, because it's literally so self-explanatory and speaking to the times so directly. If you need a caption, your caption is the rewind button. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
right.
For real, that's your caption. Hit rewind and listen again. Because, no captions needed. It's like this is where we are. This is exactly how we feel standing on the ground today. Boom. You know? So now we're glad it was received in that light. And it's funny, like playing the record early for people, that was definitely a highlighted joint that a lot of folks felt like, yo, that's the one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's dope.
That's dope. Another one, blues is a weapon.
Dope.
That's
Yes.
my favorite.
Yeah. And that was, it's funny, for Wins told the story recently, that was a beat that I had in a folder to send to someone else, producing on another project. He heard the folder and was like, nah, G, we gotta take this beat out.
That's right.
And then he wound up putting his verse on it first. So technically his verse was on that shoot for a while before we actually finished that song. And then once we got into album mode, pulled that joint back on, and it's like, oh, okay. So that was technically the first song we did towards, you know, creating this project. And from the title to the sonics, it really is, it's twofold, right? Blues is a weapon, meaning our culture has continued to be weaponized against us. Our music is weaponized against us, and it's being displayed in the mainstream like it's this dangerous entity. And we know better. We know that it's a cultural phenomenon and a force and a voice, right? An expression at its finest. But then blues is a weapon also. Let's weaponize it in a good way and start spraying all this information around to the people that really need to hear it. And, you know, not necessarily focus on the empowered, enlightened ones. Don't preach to the choir. That's why you hear Four Winds literally explicitly say things that if you go back to the Science of Life records back in the day, you're not hearing that. But we have to say that. We have to speak in those vibrations so that you'll even listen. And it's the ones that normally don't care. They like, oh, what do you say? Oh, okay. And that's actually happening for real. Young people, younger people are tapping in. I love my young generation, but I also know in the young generation, yo, if there's no gully or grimy talk on there, they don't want to hear it. They need gully, they need grime.
That's right.
So sometimes JR don't get to the youth as deep as I would like to, because they're like, bruh, that's too squeaky clean, but that's where the balance comes in. And it's like, oh, okay, but wait a minute. So it's really been a great chemistry, and a lot of it is, you know, extremely intentional. Where it's like, no, how do we get younger people to tap in? Because this is not something we want to just talk to directly, and the people who know already, it's like, yeah. It's like, no, I want people to think and wheels to turn. So it's like, even if you heard a little part, it's like, damn, you heard what he said? And then you walk with that, job done.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, I had a few younger people get at me and say, yo, man, it's crazy how you blended the lingo from our time, the youth, and, you know, our time, the 90s era. And I was like, on purpose. I learned a lot of this lingo from listening to the music my children listen to, and listening to the music that the youth listen to, and actually understanding what they mean by it. And now I might even use it in my day-to-day. So I'm like, that's perfect to actually put this into the music where it actually resonates with the youth, because like Sai was saying, we preaching to the choir. A lot of these people that are Science of Life fans are our age. I'm a grandfather. I got a grandson, a 3-year-old grandson. So preaching to the choir, I'm sure we already know this sort of say. You know, we know a lot of this. You should know it. It's the youth that we really trying to get to. That's the future. That's who's going to carry on tradition and keep pushing the information. So I had to get in there. I'm like, how could we get in there?
No doubt.
You know, so
there you go.
ID, you gotta say this too, man. Shout out to GMR BGE, and you gotta explain to the John Robinson fan base, especially, why you got a sweatshirt on that says gang.
gang. All right, so this right here is some merch that's from a different group that I work with. GMR BGE. Shout out to Show, AK, Crack, and Herb, which is pretty much a group of children. Now they're grown ups, but a group of children I used to cut their hair, and they became like my little brothers. And as they grew, one of them wound up going to the NFL,
Hmm.
Tajay Sharp, and he also had a talent. I noticed when he was in UMass, when he was in college, he would send me songs. I'm like, yo, this dude is nice. So I would send it to his dad, like, yo, your son is nice, bro. He was like, nah. So I sent him a couple songs. He couldn't believe it. So I had a studio. I had them all come by, and we started doing. We did about 50, 40 songs with me rapping with them, trap music. Like, I'm getting in it. That's where the lingo and everything started coming from, and I'm realizing, okay, this is what my children's listening to. So with that being said, we came up with a group, GMR, getting money regardless, Band Gang Entertainment, and literally created a group, created a label, and along with Science of Life and everything else I'm doing, I got my foot in there too. I'm helping these young brothers
Hmm.
develop themselves. And like I was saying, Tajay's in the NFL. He's on a platform that's next level that I can't even say that I can reach the people that he can reach. So it's just a blessing to have children that I cut look up to me and say, yo, man, we want to do some music with you. And I played a bunch of my music. They know where we come from. They know the sound, but they didn't want that sound. They wanted their sound. So I'm like, well,
Hmm.
let's go. I'll go to your sound. Let's do it. I'm in the studio with them. I'm traveling with them. I'm going to their video shoots. So now, I'm part of the gang. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. But yeah, these brothers are doing a lot of stuff. They got some stuff on Apple Music, Spotify. Look up GMR BGE Show. Shout out to them. They're doing a lot of good things.
No doubt.
And I'm sure they're gonna do a lot more. And we got a lot more ventures to take place.
No doubt. Yeah,
There you
shout
go.
out to Zyro Bands, right?
Yeah, my son too. I got a son, 17, Zyro Bands. I want to say the last few months, this guy been in the studio with me heavy, 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 you know? And I think I want to say what two or three songs I produced for him for his upcoming EP. He has an EP about to drop. And I'm on production, man. I brought myself to make these drill trap beats. And
No doubt.
yeah, man, got my son, got my daughter too. My daughter actually did a song with us a couple days ago. She's 12, Somali, called herself Molly Too Solid, So the family starting to develop this,
There you go.
this thing is just, I don't know where it came from. I would always ask them, like, you don't want to do music? You don't want to make beats? Nah, I just want to listen. And I don't know if it was the move to Georgia, whatever it was. Now they're on it. Dad, could we
Hmm.
go in the studio? Could we go in the studio? I'm like, let's go. So it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm truly
Absolutely.
blessed.
Yeah.
No doubt. Full circle. Yeah,
That's
man.
right.
Yep. There it is. Mm-hmm. That was a great segue into GMRBGE. Dope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now I was sitting there laughing. I was like, "Yo, there's someone thinking, why does he have a gang sweatshirt on? What's going
Yeah,
on?"
right. Yeah, we not what you think, not that gang. We talking about the gang of the music gang,
Music.
we not sitting here terrorizing people, but that's
Yeah,
what it's
and plus,
about.
yeah, plus I definitely wanted to, show love to Show and the whole crew, just
That's right.
because, yeah, that was a very organic story and how it all came together. And
That's
like you
right.
said, these are young brothers you've known since they were kids, literally. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
What,
saying?
like
So
fifth, sixth grade, I want to say?
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Definitely family now. I look at them as family. It's my extended family now.
That's what's up. That's great.
Yeah.
Sciences of life. John Robinson, ID4 wins. They're giving us what in they're giving us what a legacy in not just music, but in life can prove and show to our people and to the world. Much respect on your maturity, your elevation, and just showing the world that this is music is life,
That's
and
right.
life is music. Much
That's
respect
right.
on that.
Yeah, man.
And
Peace.
I gotta quote one thing from one of my favorite tracks that you said, JR, and you said problem solving at a high level is on my task list.
Yeah,
That's
man.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Working
Because
like a
I think
computer.
that's the whole science of critically thinking in our communities, in our spaces, right? It's like we should be thinking about how do we problem solve our own issues? Stop reaching
Hmm.
outside of ourselves for the help that's right here amongst
Yeah,
ourselves. And it's like, yeah, that's all I want to be the plug in that way where, problem solving at a high level. Oh, word, you got these ideas? You know what? I'm the VC. You ain't got to go to them. I'm the plug. That's on my task list to really be in that problem solving space on a daily,
That's
blessing
right.
people's lives on a daily, giving back and letting, these monetary resources become the energy that they are on a daily, you know,
That's
real
right.
talk. And I think right now we're in that time. We're on that time, and let's
yeah,
get it. Let's get it.
absolutely. As always, give you shout outs and let the people know where they can reach out to support your music.
No doubt. Yeah, I'll keep it simple, man, and say shout out to anyone who's in tune, whether it's right now you're tapping in or you've been tapped in for 25 years. Whatever or however you found us in the journey, we're grateful and we're thankful. So shout out to you. Shout out to, the entire fam and all of our immediate circle that help keep this going by levels
That's
of
right.
motivation and inspiration and hands on. And the easiest place to tap in with us collectively is at Science of Life on IG,
Mm-hmm.
SCIENZ of Life. I'm on IG as John Robinson Music, and I also am johnrobinsonmusic.com.
That's right. You could tap into me too. Invisible Hands, spelled with disease, on IG. I'm on Twitter as well. Not as much, but I'm on Twitter as well.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, man, we would say tap in with us, and especially, you know what, tap in on IG if you heard us here and mention, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
that you heard us right here, HHDG, and
That's right.
we'll
Shout
send
out
you
to
we'll
you,
send you
brother.
something. We'll send you something exclusively directly from us if you say you heard us here. Word up.
Exactly.
Here you go. Dope, dope, dope. Great speaking with you guys. Definitely would love to have you back on. And
Word.
continue that wealth. It's not just this. It's not just this.
That's
It's
right.
also up here.
Oh
That's
yeah.
right.
Respect, y'all.
Give thanks, brother. Peace and
Peace, bro.
always blessings, man. Thank you for the outlet for sure.
Exactly.
And on behalf of our HHDG crew, we're going to say peace.
Peace.
Peace.